How
Hello,
we
hello,
doing?
hello. We're good, and we're live. We're live. So
Oh, whoa.
exciting. So exciting after a lot of tech issues. I think tech today was just deciding otherwise. So,
Hmm.
yes, a very good afternoon coming to you live from our beautiful city, which I get a beating with my lousy pronunciation. So now I freak out even on saying the name of the city. Yet this is my city. So yes, in Botswana, in Gaborone, lovely, lovely afternoon here, and super happy to be joined by the usual suspects of the happiness tribe, and our prodigal son, who seems to be back home. So, yes, and we're continuing with the very same topic. This is Miss Kim, but I'm just going to pass the mic over to our host for the day. Thank you. Over to you, Miss Yodit.
Thank you, Ms. Kim, and hello to Dr. Gladys, and welcome back, Dr. Russ. Nice to have you back with us. Yes, we're excited to hear what you've been up to. Hello to everyone who's joining us this afternoon, and we apologize for the delay in starting. Yes, I was having some technology issues. But anyways, it's been resolved. So we'll get started. We're still talking about joy as medicine. We're discussing happiness and the spirit of happiness. And we've been discussing it for the past couple of weeks, but there were still questions that we hadn't answered. So we agreed that we were going to continue. But before we do that, um, let me ask Dr. Gladys and then Dr. Ras to say hi to our listeners and to us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Gladys Spalding. I'm happy to be here. Looking forward to continuing this wonderful conversation about joy. So let's have an enriching, exciting conversation. It's on you now, Dr. Ross. Passing the mic.
Hello, 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 THT. Hello, my family. Hello, ladies. Miss Kim, Dr. Gladys. Oh my God. Miss Yoda. Um, How are you ladies doing? I'm Dr. Ross, THC, everybody knows. I'm really a scientist. And yes, I've been on the road doing some work, but I'm glad to stop in and see and support what's going on here. And I'm hoping to bring some Dr. Ross to the topic today.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dr. Ras. And yes, it's good to have you back. My name is Yodit, and I'm also sitting in Gaborone, Botswana with Miss Kim. We're hoping to get some rain today. It's been quite hot. And before we start, though, I'd like to just remind ourselves and our audience that one of the things that we're doing is saying a prayer to our Miss Paula. Miss Paula is not feeling too good, and we need to pray for her. We're also trying to support her financially. So if you have any questions about what's happening, please do drop us a message. And we appreciate all of you who've reached out already, and hoping to get a little bit more of a momentum going when it comes to the support that she needs. Miss Paula, if you're listening, we miss you. We wish you could be part of this conversation because we know you'd have a lot to say about the joy of happiness, or the spirit of happiness, rather, joy as medicine. So we're going to continue. The first session, I wasn't there, but I know that we were discussing primarily the science behind happiness. I know Dr. Gladys was contributing quite a lot to that conversation. Um, and then last week we jumped into the spirit of happiness. What is it that we need to do to be happy, not as a place that we want to arrive at, but something that's continuous and consistent. So what are the things that we do? And we discussed some of the methods that we use to keep ourselves as happy as possible, because I think we agreed that total happiness is probably not possible. So today we're going to jump into a couple of other questions, like I said. And the first one is around purpose. Purpose. And Dr. Ras, I'm going to put you on the spot because you're wearing something that's intriguing. I love the subject of bees. I don't know if there's anyone who's not intrigued by bees and what they do. So purpose, what does purpose mean to you? Why is it important? And how does it contribute to your sense of happiness? Thank you, Dr. Ras.
Okay, so we're just starting like that, are we, Miss Yoda? Well, fine. No, no, no. Purpose. You just given me purpose, right? Um, Purpose to me means having a direction and having focus. Purpose means to, I think, accept change and what comes with change. I think when you don't have purpose, you are comfortable, right? I think purpose comes again with growth and change. I don't know how long you want me to go, but yes, I think those are some the areas when I think about having purpose, I think about I'm going to grow and change from this thing that I'm doing. And that's the purpose or the reason why I'm doing it is to get to somewhere that I'm not. Eh,
Thank you, Dr. Ras. I knew you were going to say something that was going to intrigue me, and it has. I'll get back to that. So, you talked about growth and change, something that I wouldn't necessarily associate with purpose, but I do want you to get into that. But let's get Dr. Gladys and Miss Kim to contribute, and then we will circle back to that. Dr. Gladys?
Yeah, I was listening, and I think I like what Dr. Roz was saying, partially because, we're living in a world that's evolving. And I think that it's relevant to that. But I also think purpose is also about fulfillment. I mean, self-fulfillment. I think that's part of it because something that for me, you're making an impact, something that you find value in that I believe that can impact other people. That's for me. But I also like what Dr. Ross said because I think, since the world is evolving, you may have to change that focus. Doesn't mean you have to abandon it or anything, but I do agree that there has to be some growth with it because the way the world is changing. So what I may have done 10 years ago would have to change to suit today. So I really agree with that. I would have never thought about it that way, but I just think it's so relevant because of what's happening in society today. But like I said, for me, it's also about being fulfilled, finding, something that makes me joyful and that I feel will have a good impact on other people. So that's my take on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gladys. I appreciate that. Miss Kim?
Thank you. I love the energy in the room. So it looks like we all missed Dr. Raz with his mysterious outfit. I want to know what's in all these, the gears, because he could be an astronaut anytime. He could be anything. He's a scientist.
True.
Mhm.
So yes, a very good topic and a very good question. And this to me speaks very deep, purpose. And I feel like purpose is very much aligned to my why, the reason for my existence. Purpose fuels me. Purpose inspires and gives me resilience. When you find your purpose, it doesn't mean that every day you'll have the energy to jump out of bed, but that purpose fuels your why. It makes you want to keep pushing, even when things are not so good, because you have a deeper reason why you're doing what you do. And I resonate so deep because I've had moments that I did work that I didn't resonate with because sometimes bills have to be paid. So there wasn't much fulfillment or joy. But when I find purpose in what I do, that gives me joy. I hope I've explained it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Miss Kim. I think all of you have given us a really nice definition of what purpose is, right? Fulfillment, impact, joy, a reason to get up every day in spite of what's happening around you. And that's what it is. There's a higher reason for why you need to get up out of bed. And it's something that I agree, if you have a reason, that this is your calling, you have to do this because, like, to be of service to people, and one of the reasons the Happiness Tribe was actually developed, why Miss Kim wanted to bring it to life, is because we needed to do something about the way people lived life in a way that's not happy, in misery, and yet there's so much to be celebrated and appreciated. But part of why people are possibly not living in a happy way is because they don't have a purpose. They're just doing the same thing over and over, and they don't feel like there's any reason behind it. Now, why I was intrigued by Dr. Russ's contribution when he spoke about growth and change. And going back to what Dr. Gladys said, the world is changing. So a couple of years ago, I experienced something that was very unexpected, and it required me to change. As much as my purpose remains the same, and my purpose is very clear, I believe that there's a lot that needs to be done to support, especially the people of Africa, the continent of Africa, young people, to make sure that we all have access to a good life. And that's something that I've been doing consistently. My education background, etc., has been about building communities, sustaining life, etc. And I've enjoyed everything so far when it comes to the work that I've been doing. But a couple of years ago, I had to go through this change. I didn't have a choice. And my purpose remains intact, but I was diverted for a little bit, because now you have to think of self. And okay, how am I going to continue to get up and keep going? How am I going to continue showing up so that my children know that, no, mommy's okay, she's going through something, but all is well? I never thought that growth and change is something that I can put together with purpose. Because whilst the purpose remains, the way that I'm growing, and the direction I'm taking is actually strengthening my purpose. So I do appreciate that, Dr. Ras. I'm going to come back to you now so that you can tell us, because I know you do a lot of different things. And Miss Kim now thinks that you're an astronaut, but I heard something about honey when we started. So talk to us about your purpose. What is it that you've been doing, and how has it helped to make you a happier person?
Okay, thank you for that, Miss Yodit. And before I get into the response you prepped, I do want to mention it. It sounds like we're speaking to three sides of the same coin, right? Because again, what I spoke about with purpose and change, right? That gives you that fulfillment that Dr. Gladys mentioned, right? And then it's also that drive, right, to do that, which Miss Kim mentioned. So I think we're talking three sides of the same coin here. And yes, I do keep myself busy. And before I get into what I've been up to, my second thing is, I just want to resonate because this space is for sharing, and the space has been created for that on multiple levels, right? Being able to have a conversation, but also sharing information conversationally, whether that's professional education or what have you, but making it able to be relatable. And so, as you mentioned, you had a life changing experience and you had to figure out how does that play into your purpose, right? And then it turns around that it actually strengthened your purpose. And so, that resonated with me because, again, I have stepped away for a while physically from the scene, not only just THT, but just out there. And it's because of health reasons, right? And I had to do the same thing, reevaluate how I'm interacting with the world. So I'm still in the world, and I know it impacts the people that you work with, but you have to be the best you to be able to offer what those people see in you. So I feel everything that you said. Yes. So as far as it goes as astronaut, actually, So I picked up this bee outfit here, right? Because for one, I found it when I was with my mom. We do some thrift shopping and spend some time together. And so I went with my mom and getting some stuff, and I found this bee outfit, and it came in handy because I'm working with a gentleman in Uganda, and he's actually creating a curriculum for our students here in Atlanta so he can virtually teach them about honey farming. So, but this also doubled as I got the opportunity this Rostober. So it's Rostober's over now, but it was uh it was Raising Astronaut Scientist Month, and I was able to be a local judge for NASA space apps. So they have, teaching kids using NASA data, real time data, and using AI and doing challenges and stuff like that. So I was able to join the local Yonkers chapters with some individuals that I know, Sir Sharif and Paul Arrington, and some guys there, and they did a really good job. They brought out the mayor and people from the city, but we got to judge the local competition, and then that gets sent up to actual global competition, and then that's judged by actual NASA astronauts. So they got to be able to be a part of that. And so that was exciting. And that's kind of why also, when I picked this up, it also doubled as my astronaut outfit as I did engage in that activity. And from there, we're going to be doing brain waves in space next year and talk about how do neurons and brain waves and stuff work in different atmospheres, speaking about being in, on the terrestrial Earth versus outer space and space exploration. But also, so that's why I have the thing on my head. And you guys know already about the neuro and the neuro device. So the neural device is brain waves, right? So it's looking at how we process brain waves in space. And so then I'm able to bring the neural partnership to NASA and then start, having the kids look at that type of data and stuff like that and learn about AI. But what's also cool is that we have a partnership with Light MD and ultra red light therapy, which is known to stimulate the mitochondria for health purposes, right? Regeneration, all these other things. And light therapy, photobiomodulation, was discovered by an astronaut out in space by NASA. So we're able to bring like the real life workings of that. So there's a company out there, Light MD, who actually took that technology and created it and used it in the health space. And they happen to be a partner of ours in ultra red light therapy. So we're able to now bring back, hey, this thing that was discovered by a astronaut having a cut on his finger and noticing that while he's a scientist doing experiments, when exposed to the red light, it increased the healing on his finger. And if you don't know, atmosphere does a lot with healing and biology. So when you're in outer space, you heal much slower. So having the exposure to the red light, it increased that regeneration, the mitochondria, the rehealing. Well, that was brought into the medical space, and now we're able to bring that back to NASA in the AI type of challenge and stuff. So I know I'm yakking, but I'm a little excited about that. So yeah, that's what I kind of been up to. And I'm also doing STEM Forward with Science ATL here in Georgia. I'm looking at you, Dr. Gladys, because I have two things. I have a ag tech pipeline from kindergarten all the way to Fort Valley State University, teaching them about agriculture and technology and food as medicine. And then we have a neurotech pipeline, the same thing from kindergarten to Emory Morehouse in the biomedical space, teaching about these technologies. So we're working with Clayton County Public School, and Dr. Gladys, I will be at your front door to come get you because we need you.
Wow. I'm kind of speechless, Dr. Russ. You've been very busy. You don't sound like you were taking any time off at all. But it's good to have you back. It's good to have you back. I mean, you've said a lot. I think it means that we need to also sit down and listen to some of these things that you've been doing. I'm very curious about the work that you're doing in Uganda. Love the fact that somebody in Uganda is teaching kids in the US about honey farming. or beekeeping. I don't know what the correct term is, beekeeping. And again, the beauty of technology, that you're able to do that sitting in two different continents. And it'll be interesting to see how the kids react to that. But thank you so much for sharing, and for, yes, bringing back so much energy to the happiness tribe. And I see that all of these activities are definitely contributing to your general state of health and wellness and happiness as well. All right. Any feedback, comments, Dr. Gladys? There were some comments directed at you.
Well, what gets me, and my phrase, figure it out. When he had said, try, figure, and the reason why I say that is because, to be honest with you, mentioned that to someone in the classroom during an experiment, and it really, speaks to joy as well. And what happened was, the individual got offended, and I think that's really sad because, we live in such a, evolving world today, and to have someone get offended because you say, figure it out, what you're saying is basically think it out. That's what you're really saying. And, you know, they even like, okay, we even had an experiment where we had a different type of instructional format. So you know how usually you get step by step, like you look at the back of a cake box. This time it was in the form of a table. Like column one was the number of tests, test two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The second column was, it was in mils, and then it says BAPNA or, water, or, and it tells like 0 or 2 mils. It was, this person was sitting, this was a student just sitting there complaining. And what I was thinking to myself was, while you're sitting there complaining, the world is still turning, the more technology is being added, people are still moving forward, and you're being left behind because you didn't take the time to figure it out. And when you figure things out, you can find joy in that because you're saying, wow, this is something I'm not accustomed to. And guess what? I figured it out. Now, let me just say this. So that was one class. I had another class, the same exact class. The second class had an entirely different attitude. It was, I want to figure it out. And guess what? It's right there, and I didn't read it. And so they saw the joy in seeing it from a different perspective. And those are my brilliant students. And and I was right. They are brilliant because even though there were some things they got confused about, they didn't allow it to hold them back. Now they have seen instructions in a different format, and they will be able, if anything is put before them, they'll realize I have got to figure this out. And there's joy in that because guess what? You're seeing things from multiple perspectives, and that's going to only make you more prepared for what is happening in society today. So I just wanted to say that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Gladys. Ms. Kim? You're on mute.
Just adding on to Dr. Gladys' sentiments and Dr. Raz, there's so much beauty in enjoying the journey. We don't have to see the entire staircase. I would add from figuring it out to a day at a time. Just take it easy, just live, just breathe, just do what you can do for today. There will be better times, and there will still be days that chips come down on us. So there's a lot of beauty in that. Just taking it easy, like Dr. Raz took his time. He's figured out so many things. He's coming back with a lot of projects. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Kim. And I think, perhaps people who respond negatively to challenges, perhaps it's because of experiences that they've had where life has just been incredibly difficult, or there's situations at home that they don't know how to deal with. So in a situation where they feel somebody can explain it to them, why should they be asked to think for themselves? So I find, depending on what you're going through in life, you interpret things differently, so, and which is why I believe purpose is so important, because when people feel that they have something that they have to do and they believe that that's why they were put on earth, regardless of what's happening, you'll get up and do it. You'll figure it out somehow. But if you can't even see that, because you are completely blinded by all the terrible things that are happening in your life. And, I can't help but think about some of the videos I've seen, the way in which folks have responded to that hurricane in Jamaica. You'll see people are still happy, and you wonder, because I don't know how somebody could sit through a storm like that and not go crazy. And so a lot of what I'm seeing, and I know there's some AI and stuff, but a lot of what I'm seeing and hearing from relatives, the way they respond to it is, thank God I'm still alive. Yes, it's horrible what's happened, but I'm going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. And there's a lot of help that's going there. So you think about people like that who they've gone through this horrible experience. Some of us would not have lived through it. But they're still coming out of it. There's a sense of happiness there that, and I don't know if I can dare use that word because I'm not there. I don't know what they're experiencing, but from what I see. So I think purpose is critical, but we also need to figure out now those folks who are unable to see good in anything, they just live in continuous misery. What is it that we need to say to them? What is it that they can do for themselves? So I'm going to park that question though, because I see that it's already 5:30. And Dr. Ras, what we're trying to do these days is trying to stay within an hour for the podcast. So it gets difficult, as you can imagine, because we all have a lot to say. But I want to talk about something that's somewhat related, our ongoing worry about young people and what they're experiencing. And the question that I had posed, something that I wanted us to think about, is when we think about happiness, some of us work very hard to fulfill that by accumulating wealth, material wealth. Things that we're not going to take anywhere. We're going to use it right here on earth, yes, and it'll make us happy. And so a lot of our young folk are aspiring for that kind of life where they want to just accumulate wealth. They want the latest, whatever shoes, whatever dress, bag, car. And yet we know that that does not necessarily it doesn't fulfill you the way purpose does. And it's worrisome because they do a lot of things sometimes that are not okay. What do we want to say to our young people? How do we convince them that, yes, material wealth is okay and it'll give you some level of happiness, but how should we advise them to balance it? What do you do? I mean, how do you address your desire for things and balance it with your desire for contentment that doesn't come from owning things? I don't know if I'm making it sense, but you know what I'm speaking about. Because kids are killing each other for material things these days. That's how bad it is. So what is the message that we're sending? We are all folks who've lived longer. We've experienced different things. We're able to set aside those things for things that actually fulfill us spiritually. What guidance, advice do we want to give our young people who are really struggling? Whoever wants to take it first.
I'll let Miss Kim and Dr. Gladys go first because I think I'm gonna go with the unorthodox take on this one. But I also, Miss Yoda, can you write down, is purpose enough? Just write that question down. We'll get back to that.
Thank you for volunteering us, Dr. Roz. Well, anyway,
Well, I had Dr. Glass. I had to be a gentleman and do that, but I'm gonna go first. I just had to do that though. So, but I can go first and set the
okay, go
tone,
ahead.
right?
Go ahead.
But here's where I'm going with it. Nothing. We don't have to say nothing to the youth. We have to talk because we need to talk to the seniors, to the seasoned, right? Because who has the answer to life happiness or what it all means is the ones at the end, right? Like, so we need to talk to them and fix the intergenerational communication. And now we're not, hey, youth, blah, 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 blah. They're experiencing that from the seasoned. So creating the opportunity and experience, maybe utilizing the technology to, like we were doing with the generational learning lab. You piece of AI technology, take two individuals that's 50 years apart and get them to communicate. And the transfer of what life's mean will come through that. I hope.
Something like, remember Miss Paula used to talk about her wisdom circles? She had her elders speaking to the young ones. So I like that. I think it's intergenerational conversations are so important in many different areas. And, you know, I can understand that because we look to, so in Botswana, for example, we have a group of women who really started the whole women's empowerment movement. I mean, they did a lot to make sure that legislation changed, that access was availed for women, etc. And they're probably now in their 70s and 80s. I had the honor of working with a couple of them who started a microfinance institution for women in Botswana and actually worked there for many years. So those of us who followed, I think not I think, we've been quiet. We have not been the activists that we should have been. And so now the effort is, how do we get those women who are still living, because we still have a few of them, to talk to our daughters, because we seem to have failed a little bit. Where we got confused, I'm not sure. But that kind of intergenerational conversation so that our girls can pick up where they left off, where we were not able to continue. But then there are some, I mean, Miss Kim has been an activist for many, many years around technology and children who've continued this journey. So I don't know in that space, but definitely I think culturally as well, there are things that we've forgotten about where we can benefit from how our elderly lived, you know, what life meant to them versus what life means now. Thank you for that contribution, Dr. Russ. I appreciate it. So it's a conversation that's necessary, a conversation perhaps with some reminders of how we used to live. And I don't want to get into that because I'll talk too much, but the environmental space is one space that I know for sure. Our grandparents were your ESG experts. Maybe the reporting is what didn't happen, but they definitely took care of Mother Earth, whereas we're doing the exact opposite. Dr. Gladys?
I was listening, and I think that's a really difficult question, because there's so much stimulation from social media in reference to, people, they're not really being authentic in a lot of cases. And then you have celebrities who are selling, different things, because they're trying to, make their money. And I really think that it's really a challenge. I'm not so sure, I can answer that question, but sometimes it's almost like an individual has to have, and, this is one thing I don't like to, preach as far as like an individual having the experience, because I truly believe a smart person learns from somebody else's experience. However, it's almost like they have to have that experience so that they can see that there really is no value to that. Just like, the name brands, the high cost for something that it only costs $10 to make it, and you're paying $700 for this, and you're thinking that shows that, that you're valuable and everything. It's just insane. And it's almost like, so that's why I say it's really difficult, because a lot of times that comes from lack of. So if they did not grow up with those things, they desire them. So, it's really challenging. I really don't know the answer. And, I think, having conversations are great. I like what you were just saying, but I just think that with social media, it's just so much, stimulation from, these people who are, pretending to be something that they're really not. And a lot of people are buying into that stuff. They really are. And they're doing things to get these items, that, not the legal way, just any way. So, I really don't know how to answer that question. I just think it's a difficult one. I think it's a challenging one, especially in society today, so I don't really have an answer for you right now.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Gladys. I think
Hmm.
perhaps the answer there is what you do on a daily basis when you're interacting with your students. You know, you show
Hmm.
up to your students a certain way and they look at you, and some of them want to be like you. I'm pretty
Yeah.
certain of
Yeah.
that. I know that you're a role
Yeah.
model for many of them. So
Hmm.
maybe that's the answer. So it's not an easy thing to say. I don't think anybody really has. It's very difficult, like you say. And social media, once we get into that conversation, it becomes, we'll be sitting here for hours, if not days and weeks,
Yeah.
because we don't know how to manage that. I think there's a country that's now banned access to social media for children under the age of 16 or something. Is it Australia? But there is a country. So you wonder,
Not
is
sure.
that working? You know, is that something that's working? So perhaps for those
Right.
of us who get confused, it's in your daily life. You're answering the question through your, you know, your rituals, the things that you do, the way you show up and present yourself, the way you talk, etc. So maybe that's the answer. Thank you, Dr. Gladys. Miss Kim, we lost you there for a minute. I'm hoping that technology is going to behave. We don't have that much longer. Your response? Uh-oh. I think she's frozen. Miss Kim? Yeah, it looks like she's frozen. Um, Let me come back to you, Dr. Ras, because you said that you offered a very interesting suggestion. I think something that we all appreciate. But you said you had a lot more to say about that. I don't know if, whilst Miss Kim tries to come back, you can perhaps add a
Yeah,
little bit.
I do want to add something because Dr. Gladys brought up an important thing about the technology, and it had me thinking. Right. Another thing is global consciousness, right? That's a new thing because we're globally connected in real time. We've never so global consciousness was a it was national, it was just national before, but now it's global, right? And so there is a global thought process, like a global humans as a species, right? Like as our society globally, we behave a certain way. We accept certain things. We don't accept certain things, not as individuals, but as our whole society. And we're connected, and we that thing is a living, breathing thing, right? It's not just that's what the individual parts, the the whole is greater than the individual parts. So when we put all of our things together and we have this global consciousness, no one person controls that, but that dictates what our children see, how they think, how society moves. And the problem that's been interjected in that is, so what we're seeing, this is the problem between the generations, is as the currency, right? So this would happen between the older and the younger, is that as the ability to make oh no oh as the ability to make money became easier for the younger generation. You think about like an artist or in Hollywood music, right? The respect for the older ones who paved the way is gone, right? And so then you have that disruption of the generation. Well, you think about that in music, the same thing is happening in society with technology. The kids know the technology better than the older, seasoned individuals. So then the respect for the individuals that don't know it, not accepting and open to it because they grew up in this world, they don't care what you have to say. And we're battling that on a global scale.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Ras. Miss Kim, are you back? We can't tell if you're okay. You are back. Yes, there we go.
Yeah, I think there's an issue with between Wi-Fi and internet constantly. It's raining, which of course we celebrate rain in this part of the world. Yeah. So, just alluding to what each one of you has said, it's complicated, but it can be done. And obviously, there are so many ways we can use technology to make sure that we create awareness. Just to directly respond to Miss Yodit's question, and this just goes back to, I was a little bit like concerned when obviously Dr. Ras is talking about let's get the older generation to continue with mentorship and what they used to do. Because there's a reason we're very different, our generation, how we were raised by communities, how we were nurtured. That's gone. We are now working moms. And some of us, we were working moms that were raised by working moms. So these working moms or working parents had a lot of their own baggage and issues. Because I feel when we didn't live in a very commercial world, life was very different. We lived a purposeful life. Life had a different meaning. Now, yes, we have to blend in this commercial life we live in, where obviously money is necessary, money is important. But if we can be very intentional in teaching our children purpose, and to Dr. Raz, it's very sad when I say this that we now know we didn't think so that even fools grow old. Because we now have so many broken parents, even our generation. I find it bizarre when I see a granny who is so not willing to be a parent, because that's unheard of, but it's happening now. We have our generation that is so lost. So, unless we break the cycle, how do we expect you to be a super model to your children? How do we expect you to raise them with purpose? So, there's so many things and there's so many systems we can put in place, and we are doing it every day. We all mentors in our spaces, which is critical. We all show them chase purpose, not money. When you chase purpose, money will come, and to teach them to live a purposeful life, teaching them, get involved in charity work, give, mentor, support others. Don't just do things for money. There has to be that fulfillment that you need to get in whatever, every little thing you do. Be ethical, especially now when you talk about technology. Don't just get so swayed with the social media, social life that everybody talks about and makes it look like they got it figured out. And that's something that's obviously driving our children to the cliff. So that's conversation that we can keep on having, which obviously goes all the way to the policymakers from schools, making sure when I was growing up, we had guidance and counseling. That was very important. That should still be very much amplified. That should not be optional. It should be a subject that's compulsory. So that is going to civil societies, going to our governments, going to the private sector. We all have a role to play, going to parents, and much more. What we do on the Happiness Tribe, we preach this constantly. We mentor people having these safe spaces that they can come with their issues. We talk to them, we teach them values. How can you be a person who is living their life with purpose? Can you change how you look at money? Can you change how this obsession that's literally there? We've seen, I think we all have one or two people we know who they have no money, but they're very content. They're very fulfilled in their life. They could be way happier than billionaires we have. And obviously, I think, oh, yes, they could be. They are. I mean, there's a beautiful story that this week I felt like sharing that story again because I really love that story. When I saw the drama that's happening in Tanzania, and that got me so sad because I growing up in Kenya, Tanzania is our neighbor. So we know them. We are the disruptive ones, we Kenyans. We are the Jamaicans of Africa.
What does that mean? Actually, no, I don't want you to explain that. Miss Kim, you've opened up a can of worms. Dr. Ross has actually switched off his camera.
He was only featured in Jamaica. He was not even made there. It just
it still hurts, Miss Kim. Even if you have a drop of Jamaican in you, it will get you. So mind yourself, right? We're gonna let that go and allow you to continue. Sorry, Dr. Ross, have a sip of water. It will be
it's a
well.
beautiful thing. Hello. I didn't explain what does disruptive mean? We could be disruptive in a very nice way. I can't see Africa without Kenyans. What a content would it be? I can see the global world without Jamaicans. How boring would life be? So look at that. It's
I think
look at it's
she's trying to make up. So we'll, yeah. So let's put you back on track, Miss Kim. Let's finish up your
anyway.
thoughts so that we can, yes. Thank you.
So anyway, and it's interesting talking about this. A friend of mine just called me just before this call, just before the podcast, and we're talking because we're all very concerned with what's happening in Tanzania because it's unheard of since the independence, which they still fought it in a much more subtle way than many other African countries. Since 1963, which obviously they had, I mean, the socialism could have really helped, but they're just such awesome, humble, nice people. So my friend called complaining, yeah, but they were complaining about us because we are like siblings. Literally, we are siblings, Kenyans and Tanzanians. So we always have, especially social media banter, we always having some little fights. It never escalates. And she went on saying, yeah, but they don't like us. They did this and that, this and that. I said, I think if I was Tanzanian, I wouldn't like Kenyans. I wouldn't like Kenyan. So let's accept it. We don't always treat them nicely because Kenya always feels we're smarter, we economically more powerful. We teach you how to do things. So anyway, when you look at what is happening, you then question what is happening to the leaders we have of today. Did we become narcissistic? Did we become so greedy? How did we lose it? How did we get here? I visit Tanzania like literally every 2 years. It's just a place I love, both Zanzibar and Tanzania. And it humbles me. It's one place that teaches me humility. It teaches me contentment. I'm sure you've all seen this story of the rich man that went to the fisherman. I actually feel like that person went to Tanzania, was by the shores of the ocean and asked the fisherman, but you guys, look at what you're doing. Every day you go sailing for 10 hours, you bring just 5, 10 fish. I could teach you how to fish. I could take you to school, teach you how to fish, get you a big ship, and you'd make a lot of money. And then so the fisherman was asking, and then after make a lot of money, what? So that would take how long? Like 20 years? And then what? Then I would come back to my family and my children. They said, but I'm getting that right now. Why should I wait to go on that? Why would I have to go back and learn how to? I don't need 200 fish. I'm happy with the 5 that I fish every day. I'm content right now with what I have. I find that story so profound because we always think that that somebody doesn't know what they're doing. Why don't you do it this other way? But we have different schools of thought and different backgrounds, especially that our culture. And it's one thing I find so beautiful with Tanzanians' culture. They're not about, and Botswana is like that as well. I think we could be among the first few African countries that you find our first president or the second president, they didn't amass wealth, they were not bothered. It wasn't about that. They were extremely ethical. And to date, we have a lot of people that are just content. They just want to live. They find purpose in what they do. They are fulfilled. So it's a big lesson, especially right now. Social media obviously has disrupted all that and many other social ills that we've gotten ourselves into. But it's not too late. We can still teach our youth and we can still keep on putting them, especially just within parenting, everyday conversations. No, let's look at life this way. Let's go to a children's home. Let's help the disabled. Let's print do something, help, give. We all have something to give. End of my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Kim, and thank you for telling us so many different stories in that short space of time, but it's appreciated, greatly appreciated. I think everybody has something to do, and there are some lucky ones who are doing something that's quite impactful, not just for people on the planet now, but will continue to be impactful for generations to come and make money at the same time. So you've got examples of people who are able to do it all. And then we've got a lot of situations, and we're praying that the situation in Tanzania will stabilize, Ms. Kim, because yes, it is a peaceful country, and I'm sure that they will be they will find the right thing to do. And yes, leadership across the world, we are going through some very troubling times. I have my late aunt used to say, we need to pray for forgiveness. There's something that we've done wrong, and we need to pray for forgiveness. The other thing I've heard, again, in reference to the hurricane that just ripped through Jamaica, Haiti, and is it Bermuda, is that Earth is in the process of cleansing herself, which is why these things are happening. So you've got all kinds of theories, coming together around why is all of this happening, because there are a lot of terrible things happening. But anyway, we're almost at the end of the hour, and there are a couple of things that we need to do. One of the questions that we were going to answer today is around the need to take a break. And some of us have taken a break, the need to go away, the need to go for a retreat. And this is leading up to something that the Happiness Tribe is in the process of planning, which is a no tech retreat. So Ms. Kim, can I ask you to speak to that for a little bit? Just in terms of why and what we're currently doing when it comes to the retreat. And then we can move on to talking again about Miss Paula before we close the podcast for today. Miss Kim?
Thank you, Miss Judith. I think this goes back to and very much aligned with the topic of the day, because this just goes back to the body keeps us score. It's very easy for us to keep on going through all the stuff that we're going through, and the energy. It doesn't matter whether there's fire in our houses, but as long as the neighbor's house is on fire, that affects us. And so it's so critical that we can be able to take a break and go detox. And this is why this particular time, especially with the Zanzibar retreat, it is a no tech retreat. Oh, somebody's asking, the body keeps us core. Ayori. Ayori is asking on YouTube. The body keeps us core. And what that literally means is you go through this sort of some drama in your life, you sweep it under the carpet. Then you just go like, I'm good. I think that's what Dr. Gladys and them would call trauma, which sometimes we're not even aware of what trauma we have. It could be childhood, it could be things we're going through every day. I don't think a lot of us have recovered from COVID. That was just the other day. We lost our loved ones. A lot of people have lost, especially business wise. We lost our loved ones. We lost money in business, and it takes time to get into that recovery. And then when you think about, yes, we love tech, especially I love tech, but it also comes with a price to pay. And this is more the reason we want to go to an exotic place. It's going to be a 5 days no tech retreat. We're going to have so much fun. We will connect. We will make friends. Can you imagine? We're living in a world that making friends is becoming a thing. Have you seen that? There's like a whole movement. People talking about friendship and making friends. That's something that growing up was just natural. You just make friends. Now there's a huge campaign on making friends. And we've seen it. A lot of people, they struggle making friends. They don't get meaningful friendships. Relationships have become toxic. And that is what we want to go on a cleansing journey. We want to cleanse. We want to find our purpose. We want to find joy in our lives. We want to connect with Mother Nature. So it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful 5 day session. You're all invited. It's going to be on the 24th of June. As a big fan of Zanzibar, I never get enough of Zanzibar. I actually long stopped doing two-way flights because I never get back when I want to, because it's just so much to do. It's right by Indian Ocean, which is warm, conducive environment. People are very nice. It's along the tropics, so food is very good. Fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, and please do come along. Just so you know, we are obviously the members of the Happiness Tribe. This is open to everyone. We've already started taking bookings, and we're limiting it. My goodness, English is gone. It's strictly limited to 50 people. So it's literally on first come, first serve. So book your slot now. I see Dr. Ras is busy flying. I'm not sure if he's flying to Zanzibar or where he's flying to. Please, people connecting on YouTube, on LinkedIn, DM us. We are happy to give you more details about our Zanzibar retreat. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss
Dr.
Kim. Appreciate that. Dr. Ross is waving. I don't know if he's saying it's time for him to go, but I can see he's somewhere nice in nature, clearly. It looks like it's fun wherever Dr. Ross is. You're out in the woods?
I'm practicing for my no tech retreat.
Ah, okay. All right. No, wonderful. Thank you. It means that you're definitely joining us. Thank you so much for that, Miss Kim. We're all excited and looking forward to the retreat. Please do reach out to the Happiness Tribe and let us know if you are interested. And then finally, before we close off, we would like to talk about our dear Miss Paula. We started last week. Miss Kim gave us a little bit of background to say that we are looking to help Miss Paula to secure the medical attention that she needs. So we're trying to raise some funds to help her. And of course, that has started, I believe. Miss Kim, can you please remind us what has happened so far? I know that there's a GoFundMe post that's been sent out. So you'll speak yeah. Thank you, Miss Kim. Please take us through what we're doing for Miss Paula.
So, as thank you, Miss Yodit. As part of what and why we started the Happiness Tribe, it was literally so that we can be each other's keeper. So it's very important that we always take care of each other. When our sister is in trouble, we're also in trouble. So Miss Paula is not well. She's undergoing series of tests for them first to establish exactly what's going on. She's been down for quite some time, and we've taken it as our responsibility to do everything that we can, raise funds so that we can support Miss Paula. So we dedicate every podcast that we do on Sundays to raising funds. We have a GoFundMe link. We'll share it again. It's on our social media platforms, especially on LinkedIn. And we also have upcoming workshops that will also be dedicated to raising funds so that we can support Miss Paula. So we appeal to you, ambassadors of goodwill, $10, $20, $50, whatever you can, it adds up. Kindly support this cause. We have a target of $3,500. Whatever we can make, if we don't hit that target, it's okay. If we can raise something and support Miss Paula, we'll be very grateful. And that also goes to the Zanzibar retreat. You would get a discounted rate because part of the contribution goes to supporting Miss Paula's medical fund. Thank you.
Miss Kim, Miss
Hmm?
Kim, on that, I did. So Mark Johnson, if you guys remember, he does the neurotrauma recognition. He came and spoke. So he actually was he reached out to me because he was actually there in Belize with Miss Paula, but he couldn't get in touch with her. We was trying to connect him so he can physically, connect with her because he was out there for a few days, so he wasn't able to. And I was trying to reach out, but let's get with Mark as well and see if we can really put something in some spaces for that. Because he traveled out there. He was on some business, but we were trying to connect because of what we did with the show and what we talked about, earlier this year from that. And he wanted to see her, and that would have been great in this time. So, let's see what we can do to connect that.
That would be great. Thank you so much, Dr. Ross. That would be great. We've actually created our WhatsApp group. I'll share the link because we are not just looking for money, we're also looking for prayers. So that's we'll keep on updating people on that WhatsApp group as we progress with this journey of fundraising and praying for Miss Paula. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. And thank you, Dr. Raz. One of the things that would be really nice is to see all of those people who've interacted with Ms. Paula over the last couple of years that we've been running the podcast. And it's wonderful to hear that Mr. Johnson's been in touch. I know that there are others. There were some people who were intrigued by the work Ms. Paula is doing on her farm when she was talking about permaculture and, Mother Earth, etc. And it would be so wonderful if we could actually invite all those people to join us on one of these podcasts so that we can discuss some of the discussions we've left wide open. We'd promised to go back and we didn't. And maybe this is now an opportunity to do that. And then one of these days, maybe Ms. Paula will join us. Yes, Dr. Ras, please feel free.
Can we just turn one of the shows into a fundraiser, a live fundraiser, and take donations live?
That'd
That
be
sounds like
great.
a plan. Yeah, cool.
Mhm.
We will definitely be in touch to discuss that with you, Dr. Ras. I believe Ms. Kim also had an idea of running some workshops where we've got specific talents, experiences, etc., and asking people to pay to attend those workshops specifically to raise money for Ms. Paula. So maybe that's something that we can also incorporate. But we will definitely be in touch to discuss that. Thank you so much, everybody.
On the health side, Miss Yoda, without getting too personal, we can address the health as an educational thing. Dr. Gladys and I can make an hour out of that.
Okay, sounds good. That sounds wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for your suggestions, Dr. Ras. Your energy is so exciting. We really do appreciate it. And you've just been making us smile and laugh the entire time, which I know, Selassie, I can see that you've been sharing comments on the chat. I wish you had joined us in the studio because I know that you had certain things to say, and I can see that you've put everything on the chat. I'm hoping that our listeners will be able to read through it. Selassie is also a member of the Happiness Tribe. So, having said that, and having really appreciated the contributions today from everyone, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us this afternoon. And if you have any more questions, comments, suggestions, please feel free to leave those on the chat. We will certainly take it up and see how to come back to you with the responses. Please join us next week. We'll be having another podcast. We will say during the week what the subject will be. But yes, that's it from us, the Happiness Tribe. Take good care, stay safe, and enjoy what's left of the Sunday wherever you are. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Have a good one.
Goodbye.
Bye.